Okay, so hi everyone, I'm Aditya Keri and I'll be your front-end instructor going forward. तो मैं आपके classes लूँगा on HTML, CSS, JavaScript, React and everything on the front-end part, all right? So I'll be your instructor for that. लेकिन मुझे ये जानना है कि how many of you people prefer Hindi versus English? अगर ज़्यादा लोग हिंदी prefer करते हैं तो I'll talk in Hindi also, even though I'm not really from the Hindi background, लेकिन yeah, so I would like to know that. So how many of you want me to talk in Hindi? वो बताओ मुझे. Nikhil says mix. Okay. Shraddha both. Mix both. Okay. Okay. So I'll assume that you guys want me to talk in both. ठीक है, तो मैं mix में ही बात करूँगा. ठीक है. So a little bit about me. Pratul says he doesn't know Hindi, so I'll keep it a mix of both. Pratul, if you don't understand anything, just let me know. And one common thing for everybody in this class is अगर कोई भी टॉपिक आपको समझ में नहीं आते तो प्लीज स्टॉप मी एंड लेट मी नो. I'll repeat it how many ever times you want, but I want you guys to understand everything. That's the goal of this sessions, all right? So a little bit about me, like मेरा background के बारे में, I've been working as a software engineer for 5 years now. I started working at Deloitte and then I moved on to Pegasystems, and right now I'm working at a startup company called Better Half. So I'm currently working as a mobile and web app developer. So I work most on the front end part. मैं React पे और React Native पे काम करता हूँ. तो back end भी आता है, लेकिन back end में अब अभी तक उतना काम करने को नहीं मिला because I'm fully occupied with the front end part. तो अगर आपको React और React Native अच्छे से तो अगर आपको React और React Native अच्छे से आता है तो you can get a very good job just based on those technologies also. You don't even have to know backend. लेकिन yeah, तो it's always good if you guys know both backend and the front end pretty well. All right. So that being said, so we'll get started. So I'll just open a PDF. Just give me 1 second. ठीक है, I have the PDF ready. Okay. Before that, guys, I want to understand यहाँ पर कितने लोग नॉन इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से है? People have not done engineering. I want to know people have not done engineering. सभी लोग इंजीनियरिंग से है क्या? ठीक है, that's great. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. तो मैं यही बोलता हूँ सबको कि it's not important कि आप इंजीनियरिंग से हो या फिर आप किसी के बैकग्राउंड से भी आ सकते हैं, लेकिन programming is such a field where anybody can start learning and anybody can start coding. All you honestly need is the enthusiasm and the hard work you want to put in. अगर आपको इंटरेस्ट है, अगर आपको like logic और creativity आपको सीखनी है, तो programming is great for that. So yeah. Anyway, so before we get started with HTML and CSS, first let's learn a little bit about the background of this web and what is internet, what is web server, all those things. So this class will majorly be for me to introduce you guys to all these technologies and all these terminologies. So we'll not dive into HTML just yet. वो next class में करेंगे mostly. अगर इसी क्लास में टाइम मिला तो इसी क्लास में स्टार्ट भी करेंगे, ठीक है? तो एनीवे, व्हाट इज इंटरनेट इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस? जो हम लोग इंटरनेट बोलते हैं वो होता क्या है मेनली? somebody is not on mute. Okay, cool. So internet is nothing but a global network of networks. No, imagine कि world over आजकल तो everybody has a computer at their place. I have a computer, you have a computer, everybody has a computer across this world at their homes, right? So the way they're all connected, or the way they're all the network between every computer in this world, that's nothing but internet. You know, it's nothing but a bunch of connected computers. The matlab hai ki if my computer and your computer and somebody else's computer in the US or France or wherever, all of our computers are actually connected in a way that we can exchange data and whatever we want between our computers. Basically, internet is nothing but a global network of networks. That's it. It's nothing more than that. It's basically a bunch of different computers all connected in the same network. That one network is called internet. Okay. Now think about this. This is my computer and this is your computer. So I send a message to you saying, hey, and then you can respond saying whatever you want, basically. So now we have established one connection between this computer and this computer, which means right now our network has these both computers. अभी तक इस एग्जाम्पल में जो नेटवर्क है हमारा, उस नेटवर्क में we just have two computers right now. But imagine we want to build a bunch of bigger networks. Like, you know, we have a bunch of friends or family members, और हमको ये establish करना है connection इन सभी के बीच में, which means this guy can talk to him and he can talk to him and he can talk to him, he can talk to him and everybody. So all of these connections is basically an interconnection of computers. Like every computer here can talk to every other computer on the network. Okay, like agar if this guy wants to talk to this guy, he can. All right, so every computer here in this network can talk to any other computer in this network. Now if you move on, instead of letting the computers talk to each other directly, we have what we call a router here. What the router does is it gets whatever the connection, incoming connection request, और जिससे भी इसको बात करना है, ये router उसको वहां पर route कर देता है. Which means, let's say that, you know, this is me and this is my friend in the US. I can tell the router that मुझे जो भी अभी मैसेज में भेजने वाला हूं इसको भेज दो. The router takes care of sending the message to the correct person. Okay, this router is responsible for doing all your connection requests, incoming and outgoing, which means whenever you have a connection request that's coming into the router, that just like sends it back to the correct one in the network. Router का job वही है कि जो भी इसको एक request मिलता है, it routes it to the correct network. That's it. Okay, but if we make it even a bigger picture, let's say that, see, now each one of these things is again a network. This is a network, this is a network. So all of these are networks again. Now each one of these networks can again be connected further by routers. I mean, this is a very small example. This can be an example of, let's say, one small community, but यही आप global scale में सोचो. This is exactly what happens at a global scale as well. Basically, you have one computer here. Well, let's say that आप यहाँ पर हो, आपका दोस्त यहाँ पर है. तो आप पहले आप यहाँ से यहाँ पर भेजेंगे आपका नेटवर्क को. The router will directly send it to this computer. This will send to this router. यहाँ से यहाँ आएगा, यहाँ से इस router को जाएगा और यहाँ से यहाँ आ जाएगा. Basically, it's just nothing but connection of networks. Okay, that's what happens in terms of a internet. It's nothing but a bunch of computers which are connected using a router at a very high level. That's what happens. Now we know that whenever all the data that we transmit over the internet, that is in the form of binary data. And binary data वो होता है जो, you know, it's only made up of zeros and ones. Because, like, you know, the computers don't understand our native language. They only understand zeros and ones. Basically, whatever you end up sending over the internet will be sent in packets, and that will be in the binary form. Now, all of these things you guys must have already learned in college, so this is just like a refresher for you. Okay. Now, if you go further down, basically, see, internet is what enables all of these things. Like जब भी आप एक email भेजते हो, या फिर आप web में surf करते हो, या फिर if you want to like share some files with your friends like games or photos or whatever, or you want to do some online gaming, or you want to go to Netflix and surf, or Amazon Prime, Hotstar, whatever. So all of these things, the internet is the infrastructure. इसका मतलब internet is the backbone which enables all of these things. Without the internet, all of this are not really possible. Now, one more example of internet is something like this. So, if, guys, go on mute, please. Okay. So, internet वही है कि अगर एक बार आपको, if you want to send a request to somebody else, it'll have to go through connection of network. It doesn't always directly go to the person, directly नहीं जाता, लेकिन it goes through a series of connections, and that's what internet basically is. All right. So, लेकिन what is the difference between the internet or the web? हम internet किसको बोलते हैं और web किसको बोलते हैं? So whatever the infrastructure is, जो भी underlying infrastructure है, जो भी backbone है, वो internet है, ठीक है? लेकिन web वो होता है which works on top of internet, which helps us do a lot of stuff like streaming data or sharing documents or sending emails. All of those things, they actually happen on the web. तो ऐसा आप लोग समझ लो कि इंटरनेट जो है वो बैकबोन है, वो ब्लूप्रिंट है, और उसके ऊपर जो आएगा वो है द वेब. वेब इज नथिंग बट द वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब, www जो बोलते हैं हम, और उसी के ऊपर we have all the documents and other resources as well, which are made available over the. So basically, web जो है that works on top of internet. अगर इंटरनेट नहीं था तो web is also not possible to be existing in the first place. So, but let's talk about what HTTP actually is, like what HTTP is and the way it works. But just to summarize these both, internet is the backbone, like जो underlying architecture है इस पूरे world में, how it's enabled, that happens over the internet. लेकिन internet के ऊपर जब भी you're trying to access any resources like documents or share any files, listen to songs or go to Spotify, go to Amazon Prime, Netflix, etc., all of these things happen on the web, and we call it the World Wide Web. Okay. All right. So you must have heard about HTTP request. अभी अब जब भी आप लोग कोई भी वेबसाइट ओपन करते हो, let's say google.com, to look at this, we have something called HTTPS यहाँ पर, ठीक है? So what is that? Now we know that this is the World Wide Web, but what is HTTPS? We'll learn about that next. Basically, HTTP request बोलते हैं उसको. What happens is, let's say that मैं हैदराबाद से हूँ, so let's assume that मुझे हिंदी नहीं आती है, and I know only Telugu, and there might be somebody else who knows only Konkani, or somebody else who knows only Kannada. Now, if these three people have to talk with each other, अगर इन तीनों में एक common language नहीं होता है, then is it possible for them to communicate? It's not possible, because I know Telugu and the other two people only know Konkani and Kannada, but I can't talk to them in either of those languages, and those people can't talk in my language. Which means we will need a common language with which all three of us can communicate, right? And that is what a protocol is. So you must have heard this word called protocol both bar. So a protocol is nothing but a set of rules that you follow. Okay. A protocol is nothing but a set of rules that you follow. But in the case of HTTP, so it's called hypertext transfer protocol. What it says is, अगर वर्ल्ड वाइड वेब में एक कंप्यूटर दूसरे कंप्यूटर के साथ बात करना है, it has to happen over this protocol. Just like saying कि अगर मुझे मेरे दोस्त के साथ बात करना है, I need a common language. That can be either English or Hindi, which means that is my protocol. In this case, if my computer has to talk to some other computer over the internet, it has to be over the HTTP protocol. Okay, basically this thing ये जो है, it's giving us a bunch of rules that every computer has to follow in order to communicate with themselves. अगर ये protocol नहीं होता, then the computers over the internet won't be able to know which rules to follow. Okay, इसीलिए we have this protocol which enables us to follow a bunch of rules and communicate with the computers over the internet. ठीक है? So if you look at this, it says is the foundation of communication over the World Wide Web, which means the basic idea behind this is all the browsers have to follow this the rules described by HTTP so that they can talk to each other. Like let's say कि my browser will ask Google to display photos of Hrithik Roshan, and then Google replies saying, okay, this is what you want. But when I'm asking the question to Google, and when Google is replying me back, it's all happening over the HTTP protocol. Okay, which means all the communication over the internet between all the computers over the internet always happens over HTTP. Okay, and somebody is not on mute again. Okay, cool. Now that is what HTTP basically is. All right, so any questions so far, guys? No questions? Okay, cool. So we'll move on to what is a web server. I mean, before this, now let's try to understand what a server is. Okay, now a server is basically very similar to a server at a restaurant. ठीक है, तो आप एक रेस्टोरेंट पे जाते हो and you order some meal. Let's say आप लोग एक पनीर बटर मसाला ऑर्डर करते हो, तो वो सर्वर जो है वो जो आपका रिक्वेस्ट था वो आपको सर्व करेगा, राइट? जो भी आपका रिक्वेस्ट था वो सर्व करेगा. तो अगर if you go to some other restaurant and that restaurant your request was for a milkshake, the server will come in and he fulfills the request for you, right? So basically whatever request you have, the server always will fulfill the request. Now that is what a server basically is on the web. So when we talk about server on the internet now, a server is nothing but a special type of computer which receives all the requests and gives you the response. Like if we talk about Google server now, what happens in Google server is मैं यहाँ पर जाता हूँ and I search for like Hrithik Roshan, let's say. When I type his name, I am requesting the Google server. What am I requesting Google server? I'm just requesting Google server to give me back all the information on Hrithik Roshan. Now Google server का responsibility होता है कि मैं जो I'm the client for Google server, which means Google server should just return whatever request I've asked. Which means in case of a server, what happens is जब भी मैं एक request भेजता हूँ server को, the server has to just respond to the request and give me back the answer. That's all a server actually does. So server is nothing but a special type of computer, okay, which main responsibility is to respond to the requests. Examples, Google server. Basically, every website that you build will have a server mostly, especially if you build a big website now, that will have a server. I mean, obviously, it does not mean that every website in the world has a server. Doesn't have to. Like, let's say you're building a very simple website which just has your name and your contact details. I mean, because you're not really requesting anything, there's no server in that case. But in case of Google, every time you type something, you're requesting for some information, right? Which means there is a Google server, which is nothing but a big computer, special type of computer, which will just like listen to your request and respond with some answers. That's it. That is what a server actually is. A server is nothing but a special type of computer which listens to your request and returns whatever response you've asked for. That's a server. What is a web server then? A web server is a server which works only with the websites. Okay. So now you can have a server for anything. It doesn't have to be only for websites. It can be for anything else you want as well. Like, let's say you can have a server for a device at your home, which is not connected to the web, but it needs some kind of server. So that can be server as well. But a web server is something which is connected to a website, which gives you back the data on the web. Which means when there is a special type of computer which exists on the web, that is called a web server. Okay. Again, very simply put, one example of web server is Google. And there's one more website called Reddit. Okay. I don't know if you guys know about this, but it's a website called reddit.com. Like, this is the website. Okay. Now, whenever you try to search for anything here, like let's say I'm going to search for PS5. See, as soon as I search for PS5, the server responded with a list of all the communities which are related to PS5. All of these are happening because there is a server which responds to your request. That is a web server. Now, if I go back and if I search for, let's say, Hyderabad, the Reddit server will respond us back with all the list of options available here. Okay. Basically, a web server is nothing but a special type of computer which listens to all your requests and responds to them with whatever information you want. Like, in case this is our computer and this is a server. So I'm just requesting the server to give me some information, and the server responds saying okay, and then it gives you back whatever information you want. Agar us server mein information nahi hai, then it responds with a message saying I can't do anything about it. So it's not that the server always has a response ready for everything you ask. In case the server does not have what you've asked it, it will give you back a response saying I do not have it. Okay, but we'll learn more about that later on. But just understand that a web server is a special type of computer which will just listen to your request and give you back some response. That is it. What is a client? A client is nothing but whatever computer or browser is requesting for the resource or information from the server. That's a client. Example ke liye, this is my browser, right? My browser is asking for a server to give me back the result about, let's say, sushi. So my browser is the client right now because I have requested the Google server to send me information on Sushi, which means my browser becomes the client. Okay? So because my browser has asked for information about Sushi, the server sends me back the information and my browser becomes the client. अगर आप लोग आपके फोन के ब्राउजर में से if you try to Google something or if you go to Twitter or whatever, आपका मोबाइल का जो ब्राउजर है that becomes the client. Okay, basically whatever browser or whatever software you're using to access the web or the server, that's called the client. Okay, most important thing here is there's always a connection between a client and a service. So client will always ask for a request and a server responds with the information. That's it. And this is what we call the client and a server relationship. Okay, the client will always ask for information and the server always responds with some information. Yeah. Now the important thing here is now, so every time you ask for some information on the website, right? Let's say I go to Reddit again, and when I've requested Reddit for, let's say I go to this, all of this, whatever you're seeing on the website, that's built out using HTML and CSS and JavaScript. These three are the main important technologies that you have to remember. Okay, so you have HTML, you have CSS, and you have JavaScript. Okay, we'll talk about what those things are right now. But okay, any doubts so far? I know it's a little boring because all this is very theoretical, but next class se jab hum log will start coding, it'll get much more interesting. Lekin aaj ke let's try to focus more on the theory part and try to ask me questions if you have any, and we can go through it. So HTML, we'll start with HTML. But before that, we'll go a little bit more into what every website is made up of. Okay, so first of all, let me open this up. So basically, every website that you create, every website, it has to have one thing for sure. Rahim, I can't repeat everything, Rahim, because I spoke for almost 20 minutes, so I can't repeat everything, but you have a recording, Rahim, so you can just access the recording after this. Okay. So I was saying that every website that you create on the internet, it's built upon three different things. One is HTML, CSS, next thing is JavaScript. Okay, we'll talk about these two things later. Let's talk about this thing first. So no matter what website you open, right, it has to be built on top of HTML only. There is no other language which can be replaceable by HTML. ऐसा नहीं है कि अगर मुझे HTML पसंद नहीं आया तो can build something else. No, you have to use HTML to build your websites. So every website is built using HTML. Okay, what HTML provides is the backbone of every website. So to give an example, आप ये सोचो कि आप एक मकान बना रहे हो, like नया मकान. So जो भी whatever the foundation of the houses, like whatever bricks you're using, whatever cement you're using, all the cement, all the structure of the house, that's the HTML part. Like do you want a villa, or do you want a flat, or do you want a 2-story building, or 3-story? Do you want 1 bedroom, 2 bed? So all the structure of your house, that's the HTML part, which means all the structure of any website, that's the HTML part. Like for example, let's try to open this website. Abhi yahan par you see a header, you have a header here, no? Which means, so you tell HTML that I want a header on top, or uske niche I want a navigation bar which has all of these links, or uske niche one more navigation bar, or uske niche I want 2 sections or 3 sections. First section is this, and second section is this, and third section is this. Okay, so HTML will actually lay the stuff out in this layout. So it's the job of HTML to ultimately build the structure of any website that you create. What is CSS then? CSS is nothing but when you want to add the styles to a document, when you want to add the styling to HTML to a website, you go to CSS. इसका मतलब है कि once that once you have the makan ready, once all the rooms, once the house is ready, you then go to the house and you start to paint it, and you add some carpets, and you add some wooden flooring, or you add some wallpapers to your house. Your style is in the house, you're styling the house, right? That is the styling part of CSS. So CSS is nothing but it adds styling to your websites, and this is the only way you can add styles to your website. Now, one important thing to remember here is you can add the styles directly using HTML, but that's not recommended anymore. We use HTML to only add the structure to your websites, but CSS is used to add the styling to your websites. Okay? These both are done. What is JavaScript then? JavaScript is used to add or make the website dynamic. तो अभी तक जो भी हमने बनाया है website using just these both, that is not a dynamic website. It's only a static website. What do I mean by static website? अगर एक website में कोई interactivity नहीं है, like let's say कि अगर एक website में as I'm scrolling down, I want the data to change on the website. That is not possible if you're not using JavaScript. अगर आपको जो भी content है website में उसको dynamic बनाना है, या फिर if you want to interact with the website, like let's say you have a button on your website, let's say we have this. When I click on this link, it's taking you to new website, which means there is some interactivity going on, right? That is possible using JavaScript. जब भी आपको एक वेबसाइट को इंटरैक्टिव बनाना है, you have to use JavaScript there. अगर आप लोग JavaScript यूज नहीं करते हो, you cannot add any dynamic content or you cannot add any interactivity. अभी यहाँ पर observe करो कि अभी के लिए all these news are there, but when I click on this button ना, refresh होता है and we get new articles here. All this is called dynamic content. Okay, it's not static, it's all dynamic. I'll give an example of a static website. Spelling, yeah, I think this is the one. If you look at this website, nothing actually changes. जब इन लोगों ने ये वेबसाइट बनाया था बहुत साल पहले, और अभी तक ऐसा ही है. The content actually doesn't change much, and this makes it a static website because there is no dynamic content in here. But in Times of India, you know that whenever they have new articles, we can click on the reload button and that will give us a bunch of new articles. So all of this dynamic content and interactivity, that is achievable only using JavaScript. Okay, just to repeat, now HTML is used to create the main structure of a website. Like, what should be the heading? Do you want a heading? How many headings do you want? Do you want a navigation bar? All of these things are decided by HTML. And once the HTML has done its job, what CSS does is it just adds the styles to HTML page. That is all it does. So CSS जो है, it doesn't add any content. Okay, it only takes whatever content you already have and it adds the styles on top of it. Okay, next thing is JavaScript. JavaScript is the way to add dynamic and interactivity to your website. Now, an important thing here is, guys, if you look at backend now, backend mein, it's not mandatory that you have to learn only Python. You can learn Python or you can learn Java, you can learn Node.js. So basically there are many alternatives to backend. Like on the front end part, there is no alternative to HTML, CSS or JavaScript. आपको ये तीनों पक्का सीखना पड़ेगा because there's nothing else. There's no alternative at all. You have to learn these three for sure. Okay. Now everything else like React, React Native, Angular, all of these are based on these three only. अगर आपको React सीखना है तो that can be done only after you learn these three. आप लोग ये तीनों बिना पढ़े you cannot move on to React at all. इसलिए what we'll be doing is we'll be covering HTML first, and then we'll be moving on to CSS. After that, we'll move on to JavaScript, and then once that is done, we'll move on to React. Okay, so that is what the order will be. First HTML, then CSS, and then JavaScript, and then React after that. And Pranjal is asking what is Bootstrap. So Bootstrap is a way for you to style your website without using CSS directly. Now, when we start talking about CSS now, you'll be learning what a class name is, and then I'll explain it to you what Bootstrap is then. Because right now you guys don't understand even if I explain you. But basically Bootstrap is nothing but it is used to style your websites without using CSS directly. Okay, so that makes it a lot easier. अगर आप Bootstrap यूज नहीं करेंगे तो आपको जो भी स्टाइल्स लिखना है CSS में आपको वो खुद लिखना पड़ेगा. लेकिन if you use Bootstrap has a bunch of styles already inbuilt. तो हम लोग सिर्फ वो लेके यूज करेंगे बस. ठीक है, so you'll understand more when you start talking about CSS then. That's the difference between HTML, CSS and JavaScript. So yeah, see, we'll start talking about HTML next class for sure. But before that, I have to I want to show you something else. Go to Stack Overflow. How many of you guys know what Stack Overflow is? Nobody knows? Okay, no problem. So basically Stack Overflow is a website जहाँ पर lot of developers, they come at a place and they ask questions और इस questions का answer दूसरे developers देते हैं. Like let's say कि मुझे React में कुछ doubt है, so I go see किसी ने पूछा है इस website में कि what is use state in React. Okay, somebody has asked a question here और इस question में somebody has answered also. So आप लोग इस website में आएंगे and you ask a question और इस question का answer यहाँ पर people give the answers here. ठीक है, so you'll get many answers and you can choose whatever answer you want. So it's basically a community where people come and ask questions and get the answers for those questions. That's what this website is all about. Okay, so what these people do is every year they conduct a survey, like a poll basically, where people all over the world, uh, like developers all over the world, they come and they cast their vote. But what is this voting about? Let's check that out. So if you go to this website and if you go to all of this, let's skip all of this. So if you go to technology here, see, so you have all of these as the as service. So what happens is every year, Stack Overflow will actually come and it'll present all the programmers in the world with some questions. And the question here is, what is the most popular programming language in the world right now? And if you look at here, we have JavaScript and HTML CSS at the very top. इसका मतलब है कि वर्ल्ड में अभी राइट नाउ दुनिया में सबसे ज्यादा पॉपुलर है JavaScript and HTML CSS, which you'll be learning anyway. But apart from this, you're also learning Python. So basically इसका मतलब है कि after 6 months or so, आप लोगों को you guys will be knowing the top 3 programmers in the world, which is a great thing, by the way. So that's what I want to talk about here. But if you go further down, you have most loved pay. If you see here now, what is the most loved programming language? TypeScript jo hai, which is again based on JavaScript, that is there at the very top here. But if you go to most wanted, again Python and TypeScript and JavaScript are there at the very top again. Which means basic point ये है कि अगर आप लोग ये टेक्नोलॉजीज अच्छे से सीखते हो, then you will be in the top 10% of the world. Like you will be learning one of the most popular languages in the world right now, which is a great thing, right? So, and if you so I'll just be pasting this link here if anybody wants to read, and you guys can just go through it. Okay, so yeah, that's all I have for today with respect to the class, but I want to keep it open now. I want you guys to ask me any questions you have regarding, like what the approach will be, and about the industry in general, about the jobs, whatever doubts you have, any feedback you have, please let me know. I will keep the session open for that now. So any questions, guys, anything you want to discuss about? Guys, can you hear me? Anybody has any questions regarding anything we spoke about today, or like what the approach will be next, kya karenge, about the software industry, about front end, about back end, about web development, mobile apps? Any questions you have just asked me today? Okay. So Akshay is asking how many hours lecture will have from me. So the timings are still yet to be decided, but you'll be having like 1.5 hours at least. Okay, I think you'll have like 3 to 4 hours every week from me. So I'll be teaching like 3 to 4 hours every week, and that will be HTML, CSS. I mean, so I'll be covering the front end part for you guys, and I'll be covering some 3 to 4 hours every week. Okay. And next thing is Pranjal is asking SQL to may teach nahi karunga because I'm not going to teach you guys backend. I'll be teaching you guys only front end only, and backend you guys have somebody else. So yeah. Anuja is asking what we need to install in a laptop running a. So we'll be doing that in the next class, Anuja. Don't worry about that. We'll be जो भी सेटअप करना है we'll be doing it in next class. Okay? Yeah. मैं जानबूझ के इस क्लास में I'm not talking much about the HTML and coding part. I want to keep it very like light इस क्लास में. नेक्स्ट क्लास से हम लोग शुरू करेंगे. सो एनी क्वेश्चंस यू गाइस हैव, जस्ट आस्क ओपनली, नो प्रॉब्लम. If anyone guys have only knowledge about front end, what exactly? Okay, so Nikhil, so basically मैंने भी मेरा करियर शुरुआत किया था ओनली ऑन फ्रंट एंड. ओके, मैंने बैक एंड कभी नहीं किया था बिगिनिंग. ओके, एंड आई कैन टेल यू फॉर श्योर दैट बहुत सारा काम था यार ऑन द फ्रंट एंड पार्ट ऑल्सो. इवन अभी जिस कंपनी में मैं काम कर रहा हूँ, हम लोगों ने रिसेंटली एक बंदे को हायर किया है तो सिर्फ रिएक्ट पे काम कर रहा है एंड ही हैज लॉट ऑफ वर्क. तो अगर आप लोग को सिर्फ एक फ्रंट एंड रोल का पोजीशन मिलता है, आप लोग कंपनी में आपका मेन काम होगा कि आपका जो वेबसाइट बनाना है आपको ऑन द फ्रंट एंड पार्ट, आप लोग उस पर काम करेंगे. तो आप लोग बैक एंड पे ज्यादा काम नहीं करेंगे. ऑन द फ्रंट एंड पार्ट जो भी आपको यूआई बिल्ड करना है वो पार्ट आप करेंगे, लेकिन आपको बहुत काम रहेगा. ओके, नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज बाय कृष्णा. या okay, next question is by Krishna. He's saying salary of front-end developer is experience matters to get higher salary. So Krishna, obviously see, experience definitely matters, लेकिन आजकल मैं ट्रेंड जो देख रहा हूँ doesn't matter that much, because आजकल क्या हो रहा है ना कि जो भी ये टेक्निकल रिक्रूटमेंट हो रहा है इंडिया में, बहुत डिमांड बढ़ गया आजकल, स्पेशली 1-2 साल में. एवर सिंस लॉकडाउन हैज हैपेंड, डेवलपर्स का वैल्यू बहुत बढ़ गया है, डेवलपर्स का डिमांड बहुत बढ़ गया है. आई कैन टेल दैट मैंने खुद लाइक 2 जंप मारे हैं आफ्टर पैंडेमिक एंड आई गॉट अ वेरी गुड हाइक both the times. And not just me, my friends as well have jumped from one company to the company last 1 year में बहुत अच्छा salary मिला है. And all of my friends including me are all only on the front end for now. So with respect to the salary, it doesn't really matter if you're on the front end or back end, as long as you're good at it. जो भी करे वो ठीक से करो, you'll get a very good salary no matter what. Especially अभी I mean, आजकल तो बहुत अच्छे सैलरीज मिल रहे हैं everybody, so I think you have to just focus on one thing and be good at it. That's it.
सर प्रोग्रामिंग के बेसिक दोनों में कौन सी ज्यादा टफ है?
कौन सा मतलब फ्रंट एंड और बैक एंड में पूछ रहे हो क्या?
हाँ, यस.
तो मैं टफ नहीं बोलूंगा, लेकिन आई कैन टेल दैट फ्रंट एंड जो है वो थोड़ा इजी है कंपेयर टू बैक एंड, बिकॉज बैक एंड में और बहुत सारा है. बट ऑनेस्टली मैं एक बात बोलता हूँ तुमको, तो इन तीनों में से जो HTML से जो जावास्क्रिप्ट है ना, इन तीनों में से ओनली जावास्क्रिप्ट इज कंसिडर्ड अ प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज. बोथ ऑफ दीज आर नॉट प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेजेस, लेकिन जावास्क्रिप्ट इज. ओके, ऑन द बैक एंड you have Python, which is a programming language. On the front end, you have JavaScript, which is a programming language. Now, मेरा मानना ये है कि अगर आप लोग JavaScript अच्छे से सीखते हो या Python अच्छे से सीखते हो, then you can learn any other language that you want. Like if you learn JavaScript very well, आप लोग Java सीख सकते हो, या फिर you can learn objectives, you can learn whatever you want. So ultimately it depends on how well you know one programming language. अगर आप एक programming language को अच्छे से सीखते हो, then you become better at whatever else you learn. So अगर आप if you're learning both Python and at the same time ना, just learn this very well, वो automatically वो भी आ जाएगा. The reason for that is every programming language has a lot of common things, which you'll learn a little later anyway, but yeah. So next question is JavaScript or Python, which is more hard? The answer for that is Python is actually way easier than JavaScript, because in fact like Python जो है ना वो सबसे easy है वो, like compared to any language is the easiest language to learn. इसलिए a lot of people recommend learning Python first if you're just getting into programming. Yeah, so Python is actually very easy. Yeah. So next question is, how much time will it require us to become a front-end developer? For us, I can say it will take about 3 months, Rohit. After 3 months, you'll be good enough to become a front developer. We can say that, let's say ki, maybe in half a month or something, you'll be done with HTML and CSS. And then next 1.5 months, you can work on JavaScript. And then next 1.5 month on React. Okay. So next question by Mahesh is it necessary of aptitude, maths, logic required for front-end, back-end developer? What better FSD or only front-end or back-end? Okay. So इसका बताता हूँ महेश. तो आपको aptitude की जरूरत नहीं है, because even maybe उसमें अच्छा नहीं था उतना. Again, I'm doing pretty good on front-end. So आपको first answer is you do not need to know maths उतना अच्छा. Sikna is not required. Okay. Second thing is which is better. So the answer for that is, guys, there's nothing called better or worse. The answer is aapko, what do you guys learning more? What do you guys like building more? Do you like to build a UI of a website, or do you like to just work with the data of a website? Agar aapko jo bhi UI एक वेबसाइट का है, अगर वो यूआई बिल्ड करना अगर आपको अच्छा लगता है, then you can go to the front end. But if you don't like building a UI that much, if you only prefer to work with the data and all those things, then you can work on the back end. So इसमें better or worse कुछ नहीं है. I can never tell you which is better or worse. It all depends on what your interest is. But my recommendation is, दोनों अच्छे से आप पढ़ो, and when you're building an actual project, आपको understand what you actually like. So like once you build a product of your own, once you learn everything, once you learn both like front end and back end, you'll be able to decide for yourself what you prefer more. Okay. The next question is by Akshay again. Sir, is there a major difference between React and Angular? So Akshay, React and Angular are very, very different. They're not the same at all. They do the same thing. Like both of them, ultimately, they help you to build a website, but they're not the same. They are very different in the way they're implemented. अगर आप React पढ़ रहे हो, तो आपका जो भी knowledge है React का, वो आप transfer नहीं कर सकते हो Angular में. And same thing, अगर आप Angular पढ़ोगे, तो जो भी knowledge है Angular का, आप वो transfer नहीं कर सकते हो. But the similarity is both of them are based on JavaScript only. तो आप जो भी लिखेंगे इन दोनों में वो JavaScript ही होगा, लेकिन like Angular and React, the implementation is different. That's it. So next question is, we need to practice on laptop when practical part is start. Yes, correct. So I want everybody to get your laptops in the next class, and whatever I'm typing, I want you to type along with me. Okay? Because remember, that's the only way you guys will learn. तो अगर आप मेरे साथ कोडिंग नहीं करोगे तो you guys will not be able to learn anything. अगर आप सिर्फ देखोगे तो आपको वो समझ में नहीं आएगा उतना. So definitely get your laptops and we'll code together, okay? And Pranjal is asking what is UI. So UI का मतलब है Pranjal user interface, which means whatever you're seeing right now ना, जो भी आप देख रहे हो यहाँ पर कि यहाँ पर एक लिंक है, यहाँ पर इमेज है, यहाँ पर बटन है, यहाँ पर एक navigation bar. So all of these things, they are the UI part. Next class, Almas, I'm not sure. I'll let आपको, I think they'll giving you They'll be giving you information next time. I'm not sure when they'll be giving, but they'll be giving it soon. I'm not sure when the next class is. Okay. Okay. Next
तो सर
question
हम
by
इसमें
Mahesh.
क्या क्या
हाँ,
पढ़ने वाले हैं, मतलब यूआई में, मतलब कि सिक्योरिटी वगैरह वो सब इसमें आने वाला है क्या वेबसाइट का?
हाँ नहीं. So what you'll be learning on the front end part is you'll be learning all of these things. जो भी यहाँ पर है, HTML, CSS, Java और React भी पढ़ेंगे हम लोग.
ओके
These things you'll be learning. Yeah.
ओके, मतलब फ्रंट एंड, हाँ ओके ओके, नॉट
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah. Next question by Pranjal is, should we learn both React and Angular? My recommendation is don't learn Angular. Like मैंने तो अभी तक Angular मैंने कभी पढ़ा नहीं है और मुझे कभी यूजफुल भी नहीं लगा. Because one thing I can tell you is आजकल जो भी कंपनी, चाहे वो बड़ा कंपनी हो या छोटे कंपनी हो, अगर उनको एक वेब ऐप बिल्ड करना है तो वो लोग रिएक्ट ही इस्तेमाल कर रहे हैं. वो लोग एंगुलर यूज ही नहीं कर रहे. वो लोग एंगुलर का डिमांड बहुत बहुत कम हो चुका है. आई मीन जो जो कंपनीज ने बहुत बहुत पहले एंगुलर यूज किया था जब रिएक्ट में पॉपुलर नहीं था, तो सिर्फ वही लोग अभी भी यूज कर रहे हैं. लेकिन एंगुलर इज ऑलमोस्ट गॉन नाउ. सो जस्ट डोंट लर्न एंगुलर, just learn React. So I will spend like 1 or 2 classes to teach you Bootstrap. But see, Bootstrap abhi utna popular nahi hai, Pranjal. It's not as popular as it was before. So, but still I'll teach you Bootstrap. It's very easy to learn. I'll teach you guys that, okay? हाँ, तो अक्षय ने अच्छा क्वेश्चन पूछा. सो बेसिकली वन अमेजिंग थिंग अबाउट वेब डेवलपमेंट इज आप लोगों के पास बहुत हाई एंड लैपटॉप का जरूरत नहीं है. You guys can have a normal laptop also. So all you need is an internet connection. That is it. Okay. And a web browser. So in the next class, just make sure that you have a good Wi-Fi connection and a good browser. That is it. Don't worry about the processor at all. And Almas is asking what is popular nowadays. So React is the most popular, Almas. By far, React is very, very popular. Yeah. Next question is how we build logic in the back end and front end too. महेश, हम लोग लॉजिक जो है वो फ्रंट एंड में होगा और बैक एंड में भी होगा. इट्स नॉट कि ओनली बैक एंड में होगा. इट विल बी देयर इन बोथ फ्रंट एंड एंड बैक एंड. इनफैक्ट रिएक्ट और जावास्क्रिप्ट में भी बहुत सारे लॉजिक लिखने को मिलेंगे हमको. ठीक है. Anuja is asking, please tell the feature of laptop needs for practice in short. So guys, like I told you, like don't worry about the feature of laptop. Just get any laptop you already have. Okay. But if you're planning to buy something, आपके बजट से हिसाब से खरीदो. आपको बहुत एक्सपेंसिव लैपटॉप नहीं चाहिए इस पे. ठीक है. Is that clear, Anuja? Okay. Pranjal is asking, can we use Visual Studio Code to... Yes, you can, Pranjal. And then Rajendra is asking, i3 is enough. Yes, i3 is also enough. Don't worry about it. i3 is enough. देखो, अगर आप लोग एक मोबाइल ऐप बना रहे थे तो ऑब्वियसली आपको अच्छा लैपटॉप होना चाहिए तब. लेकिन एक वेबसाइट बिल्ड करने में आपको उतना अच्छा लैपटॉप नहीं चाहिए. इट्स ओके इफ यू हैव अ नॉर्मल लैपटॉप आल्सो. What else, guys? So Pranjal is asking difference between Java and JavaScript. So it's an interesting question. So a lot of people might think That is, both are the same. But Java and JavaScript are not all the same. They both are very, very different. Okay. The reason why JavaScript has the name Java in it, it's a very interesting story. So, जब JavaScript बनाया गया था, उसका फर्स्ट नाम था LiveScript. ठीक है? लेकिन what happened was, at that time Java was very famous. Java बहुत पॉपुलर था उस जमाने में जब JavaScript तभी आया था. So इन लोगों ने क्या सोचा कि अगर हमारे प्रोग्रामिंग लैंग्वेज में ये लाइव निकाल के जावा रख देंगे और JavaScript करेंगे तो वो बहुत पॉपुलर होगा, बिकॉज जावा ऑलरेडी पॉपुलर था. So उसी के कारण they have Java and JavaScript name, but they both are not the same at all. It's just for branding purpose they both are same, but there is no similarity at all. The biggest difference is JavaScript is only used for websites. When JavaScript was created initially, जब JavaScript बनाया गया था, it was created only for one browser. उस ब्राउजर का नाम है Netscape Navigator. बहुत पुराना ब्राउजर है वो, so it was created only for that. लेकिन उसके बाद JavaScript जो है, it was being used in all the browsers now. Okay. So next question by Mahesh. I am working on a SharePoint currently as a support, but designation is software engineer. Is it possible after completion of this course can I add some experience of developer? Mahesh will talk about this offline. Okay. Yeah. So any more questions, guys? So to summarize, next class में हम लोग HTML से start करेंगे. We'll be coding it. So I want all of you to have your laptop or computer, whatever, ready, and have a browser installed. Have the Chrome browser installed. Latest Chrome जो भी है install करके रहो, and everything else will install. One more thing is install. One second. Install this also. The link भेजता हूं मैं आपको. ये भी इंस्टॉल कर देना, ठीक है? तो ये क्या है? All of those things I'll tell you in the next class. लेकिन just install this thing for now, ठीक है? Next lecture, Nikhil, I'm not sure. I'll let the people get back to you on that. Yeah, so I'll just like write it down here. Next class में bring your laptop or computer. Second thing is install Visual Studio Code. Third thing, install Chrome browser latest. Okay, so just keep these things ready, guys. We'll start coding it from next session. Okay. Okay, so if you guys already have Visual Studio Code, then that's great. But those who don't have, install it already. Okay, so any more? Cool. It's nice talking to you all. Oh. Have a good night. Next class, say we will start with HTML coding. Okay. Take care, guys. Bye bye.